talked about the spiritual bypass, wanting to go straight to your intuition, to connecting with your angels and guides, but from a place where you're not really grounded, where your energy isn't in your body and you're working more from your mind rather than your actual consciousness, which you will access when you are grounded first, feeling your place here on earth in your physical body, and then moving up into higher levels of consciousness, as we say. In the world of like positive thought, I think the thing that relates to that is this idea of negative thinking and positive. And I like to, just like I like to focus on not doing the spiritual bypass, but like not going up into those higher realms, but staying in our body and learning the wisdom of our bodies first and our connection with our real life here on earth. The same thing with going straight to positive thoughts. You may have heard this called sort of toxic positivity. And that is a thing that I think a lot of people are understanding. There's that whole movement about good vibes only and everything positive and this sort of meme oriented spirituality. But I meet a lot of people that, and especially when we're doing EFT tapping, that it is really hard for them to go into and to acknowledge and to tap along with their negative thoughts, their negative emotions, negative, painful sensations in the body, because they've been taught to be positive, because they think that if they stay with that negativity, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And a lot of times they've been really trying to get rid of this and it's not working. And so they come in for a session, they're like, oh, I gotta get rid of this. And so they go straight to, I'm going to be more positive. And often it will sort of reflect the way that they've been taught, even when they were younger, that, ideas of it's not okay to cry or, be strong or to get through this, be a good example, whatever it is. And and that is really hard to break because a lot of times people have felt shamed by staying in their so-called negativity. So of course, when they're working in a healing process, they don't want to stay in that negativity. I don't blame them. The thing is, that negativity, it stays there because it hasn't been expressed yet. It hasn't been allowed yet. It usually has something to do with something judgmental or shameful that we feel about ourselves. And so it really has to stay and be experienced, possibly explored a little bit, getting to the root of why it's there in the first place. And then it can go through, like with the tapping or with Reiki. Sometimes people in Reiki will say afterwards, usually they feel like much better and lighter, but once in a while somebody will call me the next day and say like, wow, I wanted that to go away and it didn't. It's okay. It came to the surface and it's just wanting some kind of attention, maybe even acknowledgement, maybe some journaling, maybe it's time, if you haven't already, it needs some professional assistance from a qualified therapist. But I love staying with the negativity, just like I like staying in the lower so-called frequencies, because they are parts of us that are being ignored. And we can't understand why we're not healing. It's because we're not being kind to a part of us. And so, even though it feels difficult in the moment, or it feels counterintuitive to stay with the negative, sometimes that's exactly what you have to do to move on to the positive. So sometimes, like in our group or in a session, I'll be like, like going over and over in the negativity. Like, are you making sure you're not just like going straight to positive? People are like, Lisa, I get it. They do that, but I do too. I'll say like to myself if I'm going through some process, isn't this enough negativity? Let's just like keep pushing through this. But if I'm feeling that, if I'm feeling that contraction inside, then something might still be there and it deserves another look. So just paying attention to your negativity, see if you can allow it, see if there is some gem in there of healing for you, something that needs to be uncovered that you keep trying to cover back up. Let me know. Comment below if that's happened for you, if you know what I'm talking about, or if you think you're not doing it, but it's now occurring to you that maybe I am doing that. It's very, sometimes we have blind spots, and until we have that little aha moment, till somebody pushes up a little bit, nudges, we don't even realize it. So stay with your negativity until it gets positive.